Good evening, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to the Fraser City Council regular meeting for Thursday, October 12th at 6:31 PM. Could you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Cindy, could you please do roll call of council?
Councilmember Bransky. Councilmember Blanky. Here. Mayor Carnegie.
Here.
Councilmember Kalka.
Here.
Councilmember Odell.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Shornick. Councilmember Sutherland.
Present.
I'd like to make a motion to excuse Councilwoman Baranski and Mayor Pro Tem Shornack.
Second.
Motion and second. Any comments on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I will gladly entertain a motion for the agenda approval unless anyone has any amendments at this
Make
time.
a motion to approve the consent agenda.
The agenda.
Of regular comments and questions from the audience, back to council. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. At this time, I will call on citizen participation on any agenda items only at this time. If there's someone here who can't stay for the entirety of the meeting and has anything related to the agenda at this time, please make yourself known. Okay, I see none. Now, if you'd like to do the consent agenda.
Now I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda. Second.
Motion is second. Councilwoman Blanky.
Before we approve it, I would like to take out of the agenda, the consent agenda, congratulations to Sandy Decker. Wendy, she is going on the Board of Review. Wendy Raddick, she is going on the Recreation Commission. And Julie Rostelli, she also will be serving on the Recreation Department Commission. Congratulations to you, and thank you for volunteering.
Yes, very good. We definitely thank them for their efforts and good luck going forward. Anything else? Okay, we have motion and second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 7, new business. Request to purchase 4 Stalker radio units. Director, you can have the floor.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, this agenda item is a request to purchase 4 Stalker radar units. These are radar units that will be mounted. These are radar units that are going to be mounted in the new Tahoes that we have recently taken delivery of, and we're soon up in line to get those vehicles outfitted. These radar units will be used to replace older radar units, many of which have broken pieces and don't mount properly in the cars. These units that I'm requesting to purchase actually also come with safer, more durable dash mounts. So they're more likely to stay on the dash as opposed to coming off the dash, because occasionally the older units will come off. They have front and rear capability to pick up speed. And so I'm requesting to purchase the 4 radar Stalker units. This is my deal quote for the Stalker. I also submitted 2 other quotes, and this one falls kind of in the middle there. But these units are also the same units that we've purchased in the recent past. We've purchased 2 other ones that are currently in service now. And so this goes along with uniformity. Not that it has to be that way. You can have different ones, but it's a little easier to get in these cars, and all of the equipment is as close to the same as possible. So these units come highly recommended. We did some research on that before we purchased the first two that we got from other surrounding agencies that use these, and they come highly recommended, and they've served us well so far.
Okay. What's the longevity of these units? That,
Usually, the units last for years. I mean, all of the radar units last for years, but because the cars are used 24 hours a day by several people that are getting in and out of the car, there is just normal wear and tear on all the equipment, including these. And because these are mounted, they're smaller, they're subject to move, being knocked. But most of the units last for several years. And I can't tell you exactly what, the longevity is, but they don't get replaced very often.
Right.
And once pieces start to break off and you're mending them and gluing them and taking them in constantly to get them remounted, then it's time to redo them. And so the units that we have are due to be replaced, and the timing is good too, since we've gotten these new cars with all new outfit and the newer mounts that are made specifically for the Tahoes.
yeah, I was just curious because I know it's been quite a while since we've seen something like this come through, so.
They do last for a long time, so long as they're maintained. I mean, we do the best we can to keep up on things, but
Good.
things do get broken.
Councilman Odell.
Yeah, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to purchase the 4 new Stalker radar units as submitted for $9,097.20 using the My Deal quote.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Ms. Blanky, do you have a question?
That's okay.
City Manager?
Yep, I just have a clarification on the account number that this is going to be charged to. We actually budgeted $12,000 in the public safety account, 101-301-972-000. So this is almost $3,000 under what we budgeted for.
It's just a regular public safety budget?
Correct.
Right. Okay. So we do have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions from the audience? Back at council? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item B, 14 house firefighter request. Captain Gillis.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here tonight on behalf of the 14 House Firefighters Association to request that the City Council acknowledge our association as a nonprofit organization that operates within the City of Fraser for the purposes of us being able to host fundraising raffles at events in the city.
Councilwoman Blanky.
I would like to make that motion to approve that as you said, a nonprofit organization.
Correct. When I was interim director last year, I had some conversations with Mr. Denault, and it was decided that it might be in public safety's best interest to form a 501c3 to help fund some of the events within the community that we might not be able to utilize municipal funding for. So it's going to be an organization to kind of complement projects that public safety undertakes, whereas the city might not otherwise be able to fund them.
Thank you, John.
Okay. Motion second. Your question was answered.
Yeah, my question.
Okay. Any comments and questions from the audience? Bring it back to council. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
Item C, miscellaneous concrete program.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you tonight, we have a request to award a contract for a miscellaneous concrete contract. This would authorize or award a contract to Luigi Ferdinandi and Sons Cement Company for miscellaneous concrete work around the city. We intend that this would provide the city some flexibility to perform work this fall and again next spring to address needed concrete repairs across the city. We took bids on September 6th, and 6 bids were submitted for this project. Luigi Ferdinandi was the low bidder. We had tried to structure this since it's an as-needed contract. We were targeting about $325,000 for the bid, and as you can see, they came in at $164,000 and change, well under that amount. So as such, we're kind of, in addition to that, asking that City Council provide some additional authorization to the city manager and DPW superintendent to allow them some discretion to identify some additional areas and try and target that $325,000 in actual concrete work over the next year.
So with that much lower price, we're not going to get cheap cement, are we?
It's the same, yeah, same cement. So Mr. Axtell asked that, that all that work be inspected and tested
Right.
as we normally do.
Okay, good. Yeah, because that's a big difference. Councilwoman Blanky.
Thank you. Hi, Mike. Within the report, it says that you have concrete repairs planned, and it's in targeted areas. Could you give us an example of what one or two of these targeted areas would be?
Sure. In Venetian Village, there were a couple of areas that we had identified, or Mr. Axtell identified, that he would like to see addressed. One in particular, there's an island at the eyebrow of Northview and Snow that has caused this department some issues with plowing and maintaining. There's some drainage issues around there. So that's one of the areas that we have already identified that we'd like to take care of as part of this contract. Some other areas, there's some curb areas around the city that, again, drainage issues, areas around catch basins and things like that are important repairs to make.
Okay, so you've got the targeted areas, and then later on, it says as needed areas. What might make a road as needed? What's the difference?
Yeah, I think with this program, we would probably not necessarily try and do a lot of work on a particular road, but we would try and hit the worst of the worst areas. So if there was an area in a relatively good road that was cracked beyond any sort of joint sealing or anything like that, we would try and identify those around the city and spread the money out to hit all the areas of the city that are in need of imminent repairs.
Thanks, Mike.
Kathy keeps asking my questions. She's a step ahead of me.
I don't know if I understand my own question, but when these conditions come up where you're going to use this money, what's the process of going through to, obviously it goes through DPW, then to the city manager, or how does the whole thing work? Because this is going to be set aside for doing these projects.
Yeah, so Mark and I were talking a little bit already. We've kind of got those preliminary areas, and he would, if we proceed with this, would ask our firm to go out and try and canvass the city and come up with a list of additional locations. We would put those together and say, okay, if we do all these areas, we're going to have this amount of money allocated to these repairs, and then we would run that back up the approval chain to see, is this within the budgeted amount? Are these areas ones that we want to take on? You know, maybe we'll take some out of that list or add a few others. That would kind of be the process. Again, we would like to do some this fall and then again next spring.
So would some of this be used for water main breaks, for repairing cement? Like that happens in the wintertime, or?
Yes, exactly. So typically, if we have a water main break and we had to cut out the road, depending on the size, our guys may do it. And I'll give you an example, is if there's a area and we only take out 1 or 2 squares, our guys may do that. But we have like a situation on Kendall down the street from the DPW where I had my guys coal patch it and leave it until we got the concrete contract because the concrete is so bad, where do you stop? Because there's so many squares that's busted up. If my guys were to go in, you know, my guys do amazing concrete work, but they're not going to do like a long section of a road because in that area, where do you stop to butt up your new joints? So with this concrete contract, we'll be able to target areas like that we haven't been able to properly repair because it needs more than what the DPW can actually handle.
Okay. Any other questions? Comments? Councilman Odell.
So kind of like we're pre-approving like a line of credit to use these roads as needed, basically. So at the end of the year, could we get some sort of a accounting or what this money was spent on? Because, you know, obviously half of our roads are in poor condition. So I can't imagine there should be much left over, but I'd like to know where that's going, because if that's our whole budget for the year for, what we can spend on roads, it'd be nice to show the citizens at the end of the year, or have it available in a consent agenda or something, to show, okay, this was repaired, the street was fixed, to see where their tax dollars are going. Since we don't have anything set in stone, can we do that?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, really, I think too, it leads me to the question, is this is its own line item in the budget, correct? Or no?
Yeah, there's two line items. We're looking to take money from the major roads and local roads funds, your Act 51 funds, under street preservation. So there's additional funds budgeted in both of those line items above and beyond this dollar amount. And after discussions with Mark, that was the amount that he felt comfortable allocating to the concrete repairs. So he'll have money left for preservation needs in other areas
Right,
if
okay.
those needs arise.
All right. Councilwoman Sutherland.
So then I guess unless something major happens, this wouldn't cause need for a budget amendment anytime soon? Correct. Okay.
There's no need for a budget amendment.
Okay, well, I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve the miscellaneous concrete program.
Second.
Motion and second. Any comments and questions on the motion? Becky, council? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Item D, pavement marking bids.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, the city pavement markings haven't been touched up in the city for a couple of years now. So we had gotten a quote from a vendor to do that work, and it was above and beyond kind of what we were originally thinking for a dollar amount. So we put this out to bid. 12 companies downloaded the RFP. Only one responded. It's kind of what we anticipated. There really aren't many contractors in the area that do this type of work. There's really only one left at this time. So it was publicly bid. Only one bidder submitted a bid. But this would be for all the pavement markings in the city this fall and again next spring. So we'll have a double touch-up with this particular contract. So we're recommending an award to PK Contracting in the amount of $83,680 to perform the pavement marking work.
Councilman Rodell.
So this is for is it just major streets in the city? Like any streets that exist already have lines on it? We're doing all of them, right? Is that what
Well, this would be all the streets that are under the city's jurisdiction. So Masonic, Klein, Mulvey are really the only ones. All the other major roads that have pavement markings are county roads, and we're not going to stripe those. It would also provide for some of the crosswalks, stop bars, and all the bike lanes on Masonic that were recently added. It'll touch up all the bike symbols and the green pavement marking. And
So not like 14 mile, 15, okay, so all of those. And then just a quick question, so, because I'm not a engineer, why would we need $5,000 for engineering on painting the road? I mean, what's there?
So this would be to cover costs associated with contract administration. So we would go out, verify all the measurements from the contractor, process pay estimates, and close the contract out when it's done. This is just an estimate. So in accordance with our contract, we bill hourly for these services. So if we spend 20 hours doing this, then you would only get billed for 20 hours.
Okay. All right. I was just curious, because I was like, I would think it would be standard throughout the state, with the lines and all that, so. Okay.
Councilwoman Blanky.
Thank you. Mark, it mentions that you are the one that initiated this
Yes, ma'am.
program.
I've had several complaints about Masonic not being,
Okay, well, that's the purpose of my question. You have an amount of money here to the tune of like $88,000. How many markings are there now, and how did you come up with these markings? You said you received calls, and I understand that, but what fit the criteria for the markings?
The markings are already there. They're just worn to the point where they're almost non-existent anymore. So this is essentially just marking what has already been marked, repainting what has already been marked.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm not understanding. By markings, you mean, like
The lines, the center lines in the roads,
White lines.
the edge lines,
The bicycle that's in the road.
yeah, the picture of the bicycle on the road, crosswalks, stop bars, all those things already previously were there, but they hadn't been done. And Mike, you might be able to know. Do you know the last time they were actually done?
Yeah, I think it would have been maybe late 2010s was the last time that they were done citywide. And the marking materials tend to build on each other over time, and the more often you do it, kind of the better they keep. But the particular material that's usually considered a maintenance material has got about a 6-month to maybe a year lifespan. Most public agencies do it twice a year, once in the spring, once in the fall, at minimum once a year. But they get worn off by snow plows, just people turning and driving over them. It's pretty typical maintenance for pavement markings.
Okay, well, now I clearly understand. In my mind, I was thinking markings like, an orange X, a circle, with markings. But I couldn't agree more, because I was thinking that the other day going down Masonic, that you can barely see the previous markings. So now I clearly understand, and thanks for the explanation. Makes sense.
You're welcome.
I just wish there was a little more detail on it. I mean, I know exactly what you're saying, but $83,000, and we know, okay, Masonic, but more detail of all what it's going to encounter. That's a lot of money just to paint. I'm not familiar with it, but
Right, and that's 2 applications. I mean, it would, if,
it's 2 applications.
that's one this fall and one next spring. So that'll get you twice. If, I suppose, if it's, I mean, in my opinion, it's got to get done this fall. So at minimum, I would recommend that you do the 1 application at this time.
So the 2 applications is everything in the city that needs to be done twice.
Correct.
Okay.
So,
Councilwoman Kolka.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, so I see on the tabulation of the bids, where you have a list of fall 2023 for 40,000 and change, and then in spring of 2024, you have 43,000 and change. So what my question is you've got like listed 1 through 14, it says pavement marking, waterborne, 6-inch white, then yellow, then crosswalks. Can you explain what all that is, please?
Sure. So we follow the state specification for the pavement marking. So these are what we call unit price pay items. So the kind of the nomenclature that's included, pavement marking, it's identifying that these are pavement marking work. Waterborne is the type of material, so it's that's a spray paint applied material. It's got different temperature limitations than other materials. It's got different thickness applications than other materials. This would be the most common material that you would see. It's not a tape. It's not like heat applied. It's pretty efficient to apply. And then the next number, the size, 6-inch, so it's going to be a 6-inch wide line, and it's a white line or it's a yellow line. And the contractors provide pricing for all of those different types of materials. And at the end of the work, they're measured and paid for what is actually installed.
Okay, so where it says estimated quantity, there's obviously different square foot or feet and units that you have listed there, correct?
Correct.
Is that something that you provided to this particular, as part of the RFP to go out for bid, so that you've already gone through and you actually have a pretty good idea of all the different areas? In other words, where we're talking about pavement marking number 1, waterborne 6-inch white, that's one designated area. And then number 2 is a 6-inch yellow, that's another designated area. Is that true?
Right, so we went through and did a takeoff from all the markings in the entire city. We
Okay.
reviewed those with the DPW. They concurred on all the locations.
Okay, so in other words, if we looked at this list, we would see all the different places that we plan to do markings, is what I'm getting at. It's not like we're just giving you an amount of money and saying, here, go use your judgment. There's a list here,
Right,
fall
there's,
and for spring, right?
right, there's
Okay.
10, only words at various locations in the city. We would repaint the only word or the.
The what? I didn't hear you.
Only, like a left turn arrow.
Oh,
with the
got it,
only
okay.
below it.
So like dotted turn guide, green, it's pretty detailed. It's pretty detailed as to what you plan to, where you plan to make the markings. So, okay. All right, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
My last two questions, is any of it reflective paint or?
Yes, so there's glass beads that are placed in the wet paint that provide retroreflectivity.
Okay. And then this includes all the school crossings, walkways?
Yep, on the city streets. So, yeah, those are the ones that the city is responsible for.
Because I know some of them don't exist anymore that were,
That was part of the issue that we had going through this initial application and talking with the new supervisor, Rob, about trying to get a well-documented inventory for all these markings. So if they do become obliterated beyond, to the point where we don't see them anymore, then, we want to make sure that we're still applying markings where they were intended to be
yeah,
applied.
because can see where Eisenhower, it's 2 city roads, and I don't think there's any crosswalks marked on Evening Side or the other road at all, so. Okay, yeah, if we can make sure too, all the cities, schools have their crosswalks done too. Even if they weren't done, I still think they should be done or added to your
To
list.
evaluate the city crosswalk.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
That's all I have. Anybody else? Okay, I'll entertain a motion. Yeah, go ahead. Sure.
Deanna Reiner, 15569 Luxembourg. I just have a question. It is a lot of money, but are the roads pre-cleaned or swept before the painting to make sure it actually adheres? As opposed if you have a lot of dirt, gravel, sand, whatever? Just a question.
The trucks that apply the pavement markings do have, it's like a, kind of like a conveyor belt of the process where they do clean the area before markings are applied. It's a blast of air that cleans those areas in advance of it. The specifications that we have get as detailed to say, if they paint over roadkill, there's certain things that they have to go back and remedy that situation. And it happens, and you've probably seen the pictures on the internet, so.
Yeah, I've seen a skunk with a yellow line instead of a white line.
In addition to that, we would send the DPW out with our street sweeper the day before.
Okay. Councilwoman Kolka.
Thank you. I was just going to make the motion to award a contract for the 2023 citywide pavement marking contract to PK Contracting in the sum of $83,680 and authorized Anderson, Eckstein, and Westbrook Incorporated to provide construction engineering services in the estimated amount of $5,000.
Second.
A motion and second. Any comments and questions on the motion? From the audience, bring back to council. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item E, slides and shading for Fort Fraser. Mr. Ragsdale.
So this is a returning business. Last month, I brought forth in front of City Council equipment to be approved. for Fort Fraser, and that was approved, but did not include the slides, because at that time, we did not have the quote back. The slides are proprietary to the actual playscape that is built there, so we have no choice but to purchase these particular slides. So even though it's Mid-States that is installing them, they are getting them from Leatherwoods Associates, who was the original builder of Fort Fraser. In addition to that, City Council had asked me to come up with something for shade over the sitting area of Fort Fraser. I got together with Brian from Mid-States, and we walked the area several times, discussed different options, and going with a metal pergola would be the most longevity and maintenance-free option that was available. So that is the option that I brought forth to City Council. I do know that some of the City Council members may think that that estimate is too high. If that is an issue with anyone, we can separate out the approval and approve the slides. You guys can give me a target amount that you feel that you want to spend. I can go back to the drawing board and come up with different options within that amount to spend. But if we go with the metal pergola, especially the Steelworks brand, which they're top of the line. That's the brand that made the pavilion that we just put in at Meadows Park. So I was looking long-term, no maintenance, longevity. But I'm open to whatever the City Council would like to do. But if that does not please you, I need a targeted amount that you're willing to spend so I can go back to the drawing board and come back with options. And if it was $10,000, okay, we're only willing to spend $10,000 on it. I come back, these are options for $10,000.
Yeah, that's a lot of money to pay for shade. What is proposed, but I see all the lights on, so Councilwoman Sutherland, you were first.
So, yeah, when I saw that number today for the pergola, I'll admit I had a visceral reaction to it. Though I do think it's important that we are going to get some shade. And I believe this was the same project that Fraser First Booster Club was going to contribute toward as well.
Absolutely.
I guess when I had envisioned shade for that area, and especially just thinking about budgetary constraints and the amount of repairs that we want to make in that park, right? So we were targeting like $100,000, right, to like fix it up. And then to add another 63 on top of that at this time, I don't know, it just seems like a lot. So I was doing a little bit of research today, and what I envisioned was they're called shade sales.
Say that again?
Shade sales. Sorry, I have Invisalign, so, it looks like we have with a photo. But so shade sales, they're usually like adhered to a couple different poles. They can be angled so that if there's wind or rain, it'll just kind of slide off. From a longevity perspective, it looked like they're able to be made out of different materials too. So plastic, or they have some that are kind of like tarps, but obviously those aren't going to last. The price range that I saw, which I only did a little bit of, Monday morning quarterback action on this, it was like $3,000 to $15,000 for shade sales. It looked like the range, which I know is a big range, but still a far cry from $63,000. So I just kind of wanted to bring that point up because I, unfortunately missed the last meeting.
Absolutely. And Brian and I discussed that while we were there. The downside to that is gust of wind comes and it rips them right off. They go flying. Then,
There's different types of material that they can be made out of. So, yes, 100%. If it was like the tarp type of material, for sure, you're going to get a gust of wind or really inclement weather, some hail, and it's going to, take them down. So they have ones also, though, that are made more of like plastic or hard plastic, canvas. They have ones almost like, I don't want to say metal, because I don't know that that's actually the right what it is, but hard material, right? Not something that can be easily blown away or pulled down, ripped down, baseballs hit at. I mean, just things that can take more wear and tear.
To cover that area, you would probably need 3 of those then?
They make some really big ones, and they make like different kinds. So like triangles, or they make kinds that are like they twist, or it's like 2 different triangles that meet in the middle to shade different areas. It looks like they're really customizable.
If that is the directive I'm given, then I can go and come back with options and say, you can go with option 1, it's this much, it covers the whole area. You can go with option 2, we got 2, or maybe it's 3. If that's what you're looking at, then give me that directive to.
Right. Well, I mean, it's going to be at the will of council, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, I think though, just like from my perspective, if that is something that we would like to explore, the material, because I'm with you as far as the longevity goes, where, I personally don't want to put a dime in it if it's going to get ripped down within a year or one bad thunderstorm and it's gone. So,
The thing is too with the pergola, okay, if you go with, it's EPI wood, or the redwood, you're looking at about $50,000 just to go wood. Okay, well, then you still got to do maintenance on it and stain it. So if we were going to, unless you went with just wood that you got off the shelf at Home Depot, right? But if you're going to do it right and you went with wood, you're only going to be $10,000 less than you would with the steel.
yeah, so the shade sails, they are more adhered to like big metal poles. There is no wood.
Yeah.
So I think that they would be more durable.
There are, I've seen them. There are
And
places that
I'm
do
assuming those would come down in the winter?
that. Yes,
It depends.
yes, they do, they do.
Even the really hard ones?
Yeah.
I didn't
always
do that much
recommended
research,
to
but
bring
I mean,
them
yeah.
up,
I
'Cause
mean,
it's
you
a
obviously
weight
wouldn't
load.
need to leave them up in the winter,
Right.
but I don't know, I guess to see if the juice is worth the squeeze as to putting them up and pulling them back down for, dependent on the material, storage, all of those things. That's just more research that would need to be done.
I would like to suggest to the council, determine an amount that you want to stay within. I'll go back to the drawing board, I'll look at the sales, I'll see what other options there is within that amount and come back and present to you multiple options within that dollar amount.
So I think from my perspective, like it's hard with the amount of limited knowledge that I have about shade sales, which is more than I had yesterday. But it would be nice almost if you could come back with like 3. So I mean, we would need to know how much area it's going to cover, right? So maybe like a low, medium, and high based on the different types of materials that would be used to put them together. It's really hard to just sit up here with a lack of information and just come up with an arbitrary amount. So it's almost if you come back with some options,
Okay.
or even maybe send them to us beforehand so we would have an opportunity to review and individually ask some questions of you. So to be prepared for the next meeting, that would be my thought and my preference. But
Yeah, there's many different versions of exactly what you're talking about, so personally, we can't give you a number. I mean, that's kind of what we want you to do is see what we can get the best quality and the best bang for our buck.
Okay.
Obviously, what you propose was shocking in price, because I'd rather put that money right into the, if the whole playscape was like that, it would be fabulous, but.
Well, then if, could city council approve the slides and then send me back to the drawing board for the shade portion? That would be great because I don't want to hold this up with the slides.
Knowing that we can do that, then we will address that. Councilman Odell.
Yeah, I concur with Councilwoman Sutherland. $5,000 is just way too much. It would be nice if it was a brand new park and we were, going all out. That would make sense to me. But, like I say, the top of the line ones that I was seeing that would cover an area, like the main benches there where you first walk in, was like 15. I was figuring another 5 for installation or less. So, that's where the numbers I was thinking of when I was originally proposing this. 65 I cannot get behind. So There were also like bleacher sales, it's just a different type of sale that covers like a bench area or sitting down area. I'll send you some stuff that I had, but I would be looking around the 20 grand mark. I mean, obviously bring us some options, see what you can come up with. If it was lower than that, we can do some small ones for some of the new benches that are going in. That would be nice too. Not all of them, but maybe one or two, just to have some areas of shade would be nice. But I can't support that. I would support approving the slides. The dollar amount that I have after subtracting that was $39,594.27. Is that the math you came up with?
There's a bit of an issue with that math because there is a discount from Sourcewell of the $3,686.01 for the entire project. So you would only have probably a smaller discount, maybe around $2,500 or something. I would say probably like a not to exceed 44,000 would be probably in the ballpark for those slides.
So I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of, on the quote, everything except the pergola and the installation of the pergola, not to exceed $44,000 as submitted.
Second.
We have a motion second. Councilman Kolka, your item.
Thank you, Mayor. Mark, you remember when we put the gazebos in, when we were upgrading the parks in like Meadows? Do you remember when we put the gazebo in? What was the cost of that? Do you remember?
Right off the top of my head, I want to say it was 60, 70 something thousand.
Now, because we only like budgeted like 120 for that whole park.
It was pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
Which we talked about before, is putting that same type at all the parks, but we didn't want to do it at that time.
So this area here, that I think it's 22 by 28 is what the amount was for the pergola.
Yep.
So I guess my question is how is that number, how did you come to that number? Is it because that's the number, that's how big the area is and
Yes, so
people are sitting and?
exactly. So we went out and measured the sitting area.
Yeah.
And where the posts have to go.
Okay.
There's specific spots that you can only put the post because of the way the area is laid out, which determine the size of the pergola that you would need.
Got it, okay.
And then when Brian goes back and looks at the on his sheet for cover works, and he looks up the size of the metal pergolas, and then he puts in the measurements, that's the price. So it's like $43,000 just to purchase the pergola, and then it's like 19, almost 20 to put it in.
I see. Okay. And so just to get some perspective of the differences. So you're talking about a metal pergola, and we've discussed up here a shade idea. And so I would like to see, just a variety of different ideas. It doesn't necessarily have to be shade. It doesn't necessarily have to be the pergola.
Okay.
In other words, like, I don't know if it's even possible, but does Trex make something that we could consider?
Well, Trex would be your post. I highly doubt
They don't do a pergola.
Well, I don't have the answer for that. I know that they may do the post. I don't know if they do the beams that go across, because eventually that would warp being in the sun, it being composite.
Okay.
Typically, if you're going to do a wooden one, they go with redwood and the other wood from South America. It's IEP or EEP.
Okay. Well, in other words, I guess what I'm looking for is just some different ideas that we can kind of talk about and mull over, if you will. Because I agree, this is super expensive, way more than I would want to put towards, a shade area.
And keep in mind, I was just looking longevity and maintenance free, right?
And no one's saying you didn't do your due diligence. We're just trying to expand this to see if there's anything else that we can come up with. If it turns out the shade isn't gonna give us what we need. We might end up having to resort back to this, for sure. But right now, I think the idea is we just wanna explore different options, that's all.
Okay, well then, I can come back with, give you a price on a wood pergola, I can give you a price on the sails, give you a price on on an actual, pavilion. That's, you were calling it gazebo, it's not gazebo,
I'm
it's
sorry,
pavilion.
Pavilion, yes.
Yes.
The pavilion.
Yes,
Yeah, and
pavilion.
also too, like the pros and cons for each of them, like what their longevity looks like, what the wind, estimated wind speed is for the sails, that kind of thing. And, just to give us an idea of what we're getting.
And what you're gonna be looking at for future maintenance costs.
Yes, of course, the whole picture. Yeah, no, that sounds really great. Thank you.
Yep.
Councilwoman Blanky.
Thank you. I totally agree with Councilman Odell to eliminate this part regarding the pergola to the motion that he just made. Is there anyone in the audience, Marie, Laura, Deanna, did we have shades at Fort Fraser before? Do you recall any of that? Okay. I have two concerns, and Councilman Odell is right. He informed me that it gets hot, in the sun. I get that part. However, I just feel that, with the shades, I think what that does is put up another bullseye, as it were, for vandalism and disrepair. We have problems over at McKinley left and right. And I'm trying to justify this.
And that was the reason why we went with to bring back to the city council as well. That was definitely one of the reasons why we were suggesting a pergola. Because it's going to be the least likely option that you could use to be vandalized. And yes, however, we had the cameras, they were installing them yesterday.
Or which parks?
So the cameras are going in at McKinley, Somerset, and Fort Fraser. But they were installing them at Fort Fraser yesterday while we were out there.
But I think where I'm trying to take this, and again, you can sit there and think, well, what does she care? She won't be here in a couple, and I won't. And I get that. But I was here on the ground floor of that Fort Fraser. And I just feel that in our city, and as a former recreation director, we have 9 parks, okay? And I just have an objection in my mind as a taxpayer and so on and so forth. Why would we spend close to $50,000? 40-something?
For what?
Pardon, for the pergola.
65.
$65,000 to put up a shade at a playground area. We never had it before. It's a park. We have 8 other parks. And I'm just speaking realistically. I understand. I do. I get it. It's hot. And I do. I've raised children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. I get it. But I'm just trying to be realistic. We're not Grosse Pointe here. And that's how I feel. Why are we overreaching for a park that's going to look beautiful once everything's replaced and everything's repaired, and it's going to have such a new luster, such a new energy? And that's just my point. And I am going to agree on Mr. Odell's motion, of course, because he eliminated. But seriously, I think that we should consider the common sense portion. I thought it was only 40,000. Now you say 65,000. I'm even more blown away by that. I truly am. So that's my opinion. Thanks for listening.
We currently have a motion and a second on the floor to purchase the slides. Correct?
And exclude the other part.
So, the motion would need to, does the motion need to be amended to not to exceed 44,000, or? Okay.
It was already in the motion.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Okay, so you're good with your motion, right?
Yes.
Okay. Any comments and questions from the audience?
What's the new amount, Pat? What are you making?
40.
To exceed 44,000.
Okay.
Everything, so minus the pergola.
Right.
But the discount varies a little bit, so it's not to exceed 44.
Thank you. Brilliant solution. Thank you.
You think about it, in today's day, though, that, for slides, that much money for slides.
I know, it's crazy.
No,
Unbelievable.
I realize that, but I'm talking
Yeah, I know. I know
need and
exactly what you're
want.
saying, right.
Want and need, you can't always, whatever.
So nothing from the audience, back at council? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, Mr. Ragsdale, you can get those slides ordered.
Thank you.
Mark, do you think that we'll get those before like spring of next year, or do we know how long?
I don't know yet because I haven't made that call because I didn't want to
No, I mean, once.
just assume you guys were going to approve it. But the bad thing for me is we have to go with Leatherwood. So whatever they charge, we were going to have to pay it because no other slides will fit. You know,
Right.
and then you start adapting things, and then now you're not in code anymore. You know.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, go ahead.
I just have one more quick question. So because we have to go with, what's it called, Leatherwood?
Leatherwood Associates.
And it's proprietary, have we just asked them, what happens in the event that, let's say they go out of business? What are we we're not gonna have slides? Did they have a patent that they would sell off to another company? Like if there's a contingency plan? It's just because, the reason why I ask is because, we have so many residents that give feedback about, saving Fort Fraser and keeping it as is, which, I definitely am in support of that too. But I'm just thinking from a longevity perspective, what happens if they go out of business? Where do we get slides?
Typically, when a company like that goes out of business, it's because somebody else has bought them out.
Oh, okay.
Right, so it wouldn't be Leatherwood and Associates anymore, but it would be one company. You're at their mercy, right? Because they have the patent on that particular
Right.
slide.
Okay. That's fair. Thank you.
Okay, item F, excavator defender mulcher attachment.
I am very excited about this. As you know, we have a brand new excavator that has multiple attachments on it. One of them is a concrete breaker, and the other one's a tamper. This is a mulching attachment that will mulch trees 8 inches in diameter all the way down. So you lift the arm up, the mulcher's on it, and it will just go all the way down to the ground and pulverize the tree. If it's bigger than 8 inches, it will still chew the tree down, but you got to take and move the arm side to side. The reason that we need this so badly is because we're getting ready to start the project of the Masonic Masonic Road pump station and retention pond, and it's got to be at least 15 years before anything has been done in there. It's all overgrown. We're not our holdage capacity is nowhere near what it should be because of all the trees that's grown up inside there. It looks really bad. This will also be used at the parks. For example, Pompo Park. We'll be able to go right down the side of the fence line and hang the arm over and shred the trees that are growing over into the park that look all overgrown. We will be able to take this over behind the senior housing and the senior activity center and the property that the city owns there. We'll be able to go through and make walking trails with it. Areas that we have water main breaks that are in areas that are overgrown. We'll be able to go in and mulch the areas down before we start trying to repair a water main. So this is a very universal tool that would really help out the amount of work that we're able to do.
So it's a brush hog on steroids.
Absolutely. It's amazing.
Councilman Sutherland.
So it sounds like there are going to be a lot of long-term uses for it. I guess just when I think about the examples that you provided, so is there a cost benefit of purchasing one of these over like renting one every time we need it. So like, can you rent it for $300 if you need it for a day? And
No,
then-
no.
I mean, honestly,
You can't even.
I don't know.
No, right now, they're not renting them.
Okay.
I mean, we checked into that before. They want to make you rent the whole machine with the attachment, and then you're paying, what few places actually that you can get it. But I watched the video on it, and it just immediately I went right to the pumping station because it's going to save us. It will pay for itself the first time we use it, because if otherwise we're going to have to put out an RFP to have a company come and do that.
Right.
So what they're going to charge us to do it, we're going to save probably 3 times that just by buying a thing and doing it ourselves, since we got the new excavator.
Yeah,
Now,
but-
if we didn't have the new excavator, I wouldn't be here asking to purchase this.
No, I definitely didn't want to outsource it, just wondering if there was any potential benefit to seeing if we could just get one for, a minute, rather than having to buy the whole thing, so, okay.
No.
All right, thank you so much.
Yep.
Mark, are we sure that excavator can get back there and do it, just because of the angles and all that? It's not going to be a problem or risky to take that?
No, we should be able to get in there with the excavator. I mean, if we farmed it out, that's what they would be coming in there with, is an excavator. The important thing is to be able to pump the pond down as much as you can, and you'd want to try to tackle the majority of it when it is dry.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
that's why I'm saying, it's really a safety thing, and you sure don't want to lose the thing into the water, and, I've seen them work before and almost lose them completely, so, as long as you're sure of that, then I'm okay with it.
yeah, and we got the new loader too. So if we did get it stuck, we could go down there with the loader and tie a chain around it and pull it out with the loader.
Councilwoman Kolka.
Thank you, Mayor. I think this is a good use of money. I think it's going to pay for itself, like you said. And I think that you run that risk with even if we rented it, you're going to run that risk of having equipment, break or fall or whatever. So for that reason, I would like to make a motion to waive the competitive bidding process due to Elta Equipment being awarded the Sourcewell contract.
Gotta do that one separate. Second. You do look done smiling at me, it's true.
I didn't hear you, actually. I'm smiling because I didn't hear you.
Oh, I was.
But I was going to jump
We have to
in.
do that once, we have to do that separately.
Well, no, I was
The
going to
motion
jump in and
to-
say that we don't actually need a waiver here because city ordinance allows for any cooperative purchase to be made without going through our process. We don't need a motion.
I
We're
was
doing it
just
through
going
the
to say
cooperative.
and.
Sure, but we don't need that first part, so you can strike that and just
Fine, I'll
go
strike
right
that.
to the and.
Strike that. All right, so, fine. Motion to award a proposal to purchase the FX36 Defender mulcher attachment in the amount of $22,840 from the Alta Equipment Company, and that's ALTA, and waive the competitive bidding process.
You don't need that.
Oh, that's right, sorry. We'll strike the end of that.
Second.
Motion second. Councilwoman Blanky.
I agree with the other council people, as far as, and as Councilwoman Calka just said, it's $22,000, which seems reasonable. You have a couple, ventures already set up for it off of Masonic and whatever. Just long range and briefly, can you tell me, so after you do these couple projects, what in your mind do you see you'd use it for?
Park maintenance,
Pardon?
park maintenance.
Park maintenance?
Absolutely, because anywhere we have our parks, they all have, not all, but the majority of them have fences that go around them where the trees overgrow into the park and it looks really bad. So they'll be able to come by and trim the trees down with that. In addition to that is trails. We have a lot of land that's not being used over behind senior housing and senior activity center. That's really, you can't really do much with it. And Robin and I was over there walking the other day, and we're like, wow, this would be really great for the seniors that lived in the senior housing, because we'll be able to take that thing and go over and make a walking path with them then in addition to that, instead of paying to have the wood chips hauled off, we'll be able to start using the wood chips instead of paying to have them hauled off. We'll be able to bring them in and spread them into the trails through the woods, through the park.
Okay, and I don't disagree. Now, my next question, and I agree with all that, it's proactive. Are you the only kid on the block with this mulcher, or do does East Point or Roseville have one?
Nope, I will be the only kid on the block with this, and I feel like Tim the Toolman Taylor right now.
Obviously, I know, I'm just going back to your original brand-new toy. I get it, okay, but it's necessary. So then that begs the question, I know that among the cities, or at least they did in the past, they used to, help each other out with a brand-new toy or a brand-new whatever. What's your policy on that? Like hypothetically, if Roseville wanted to use it or whatever, and I know there's no cost, it's like an honor, good faith between the cities. You would let them use it?
Absolutely, absolutely, because Roseville has always come to our rescue and whatever we have needed,
Okay.
Stump grinders or whatever. And if something happens while it's in your possession, you're on the hook for repairing it.
And
But
I
yeah,
kind of know that. I was just curious. So you are the original, right? The first one in the county or nearby area, neighborhood to have one?
yes.
Well, congratulations.
Well, you haven't approved it yet, but
Oh, well, if we do, we can come out with champagne and we can, christen it, okay?
absolutely.
All righty, thank you.
Mark, do we have to maintain the property on Hayes, or does the county do it?
So we.
I know on Sterling Heights, they use that similar.
Yes. So we have been maintaining the grass strip, and the county comes by and does
The ditch.
does the ditch line in the area in between. Rob and I have been trying to get a hold of somebody from the county to get them out because the city has been doing that for years, and it's not our responsibility. That's the county's right of way. So we're Rob and I are in the middle of trying to get the county to come out and take a look at that. My guess is, because I've dealt with this before in Wayne County, my guess is the reason the history behind it is the county's only going to come out and mow it like 2 or 3 times a year, and it'll probably get knee high before they come and mow it. That's my assumption, but that's what we dealt with in some of the other cities I've worked for, and then what we did was we worked out a deal with the county where they paid us.
I was just gonna say,
Yeah.
just get with Candace's office and they can start paying you to maintain it, that's all. So, okay. Councilwoman Sullivan.
So just one more question, because you really piqued my interest now that we know that we're gonna be able to reuse the mulch. So from a sustainability perspective and a planning perspective, will you be able to cut down? Oh, sorry, I don't even know how it got turned off. Will you be able to cut down trees and maybe work that into the plan of like adding mulch into the parks, right? Because now we're paying for this attachment, but now we're gonna save money potentially on having to buy mulch for the parks. So will you be able to determine what areas you're clearing and then mulch, or?
Yes and no. We won't be able to use that mulch for the playgrounds.
Okay.
We can definitely use it for trails.
Okay.
You're not,
Not-
the mulch that is used for the playgrounds, it's referred to as engineered fiber. It's wood chips.
Right.
What is ran through a special machine, a truck, and then what it does is it spins it and it flares it out and it makes it fluffy. So that's where you get your sponging, the cushion, your sponginess. If you use regular wood chips, you're not going to get that. Plus, the regular wood chips are going to decay much faster than the engineered fibers.
Right. Yeah, I'm just very interested in this because I know that there are other cities too that like they provide mulch and things like that for composting and other things. So I'm just,
Yep.
I think that there are just potentially more benefits here too. So
Absolutely.
I just wanted to,
Use around trees and all that.
yeah. Awesome. Okay, thanks.
Okay, so we do have a motion and a second. Any comments, questions from the audience? I see none. Council, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Merry Christmas.
Really?
Thank you.
It's a toy, he gets lots of toys. He budgeted for all of them, they were up in the budget, right?
I'm sure my guys are going to be very excited.
I'm sure they
Item
will.
G, painting at senior housing.
So this agenda item request is to award Look Professional Painting for the following interior areas: the hallways, the offices, the mail room, the mechanical room, and the engineering exit doors, the emergency hall doors, the trash room, community room, and the residence doors. So pretty much everything inside the senior housing that's not actually inside an apartment. We had 3 bids, and the lowest bid, which was surprisingly much lower than the other ones. Did you guys notice that it's like a fifth of the other ones? So it's $10,050. We're very happy with, we use Look on a normal basis to come in and paint the inside of the apartments when we got to flip them. So we've dealt with them for quite some time now, and we're very happy with their work.
Councilwoman Sullivan.
I was thrilled when I saw that amount and actually thinking like, my goodness, if I need painting services, I know who I'm gonna call. I just would like to make a motion to award the bid to Look Professional Painting in the amount of $10,050.
Second.
Motion second. City Manager.
I did have one question about this that I did not have an opportunity to talk to you about before the meeting. With the bids, taking a look at it, I noticed that the other 2 bids that were hired did include repairs and sanding, and I don't see that at all in the Look Professional Painting bid. I'm wondering if they're still gonna be doing patching and sanding for this pricing?
I don't have the answer for that. I could only assume they are. But
Never assume, right?
right, but I mean, that was the quote, unless they felt there wasn't any that needed to be done.
And it was also taping. I think one of the other vendors had mentioned that they're gonna be taping.
These guys are pretty good. What I've seen them, they had a steady hand. They don't use much tape.
When I had my house painted, they didn't use tape. They were just,
Right.
it was amazing.
Well, something we should probably clear up, because you sure don't want to get bills for filling and sanding and spackling, and, I mean, we can still approve it based on, getting all the information,
Yeah, you could put as part of your motion that as long as it includes patching and sanding.
yeah.
Okay, so then I'll strike my previous motion, and I will make a new amended motion to award the bid to Look Professional Painting with the contingency that that includes sanding and patching as needed in the amount of $10,050.
Second.
Motion and a second. Councilman Odell.
Mark, quick question. Just trying to refresh my memory. Don't we have someone now full-time maintenance at the senior housing center?
Not yet. So where we're at right now with that is we're waiting on the union to get back with us for the position. Currently, our most senior employee, Ron Nicholson, in the DPW, wishes to take that position. But we have not been able to transition him into that role because we're still waiting to hear back from the union on the approval of the actual job description.
Okay, because for some reason I was thinking we already approved that position.
You did.
Approve the position, not,
So going forward, a person full-time in that position should be doing this type of painting from time to time anyways, correct? So that,
It depends it depends on what it is. They might do some painting, but typically we would use Look for the painting because even me doing it in-house, I'm not going to be able to do it as cheap and as good as Look does it. The majority of that person would be flipping the apartments, and doing the repairs. You know, we get a ton of calls.
They're painting the apartment.
When I say
as well.
flipping, they come in and make any repairs, like patch the drywall, change out the dishwasher, put a new stove in, or a new sink, or a new refrigerator. You know, if they got to have a new sink, anything like that, get it all ready, and then we have come in and paint it, and then we have another company that comes in and cleans it.
Okay, so Look already does the painting for us.
Yes.
As now. Okay, that's my only question. Thank you.
Well, and this is the entire interior, right? So this is everything except for inside apartments. So if
Yes.
this is done now, I mean, it should be good for X amount of years until we would have to do it again.
Absolutely. And their prices are amazing. It's only a couple $100 to have one of the apartments painted when we go to have them flipped. So
We do exterior painting too,
I don't know.
because I'm gonna need to find out.
Okay, so we have the motion and a second. Any comments and questions from the audience?
I'm just curious to know.
Grab the mic. Name and address, please, for the record.
Okay, name is Ray Wojciechowski, Senior Housing, 34950 Hidden Pine Lane, apartment 320. Just curious to know that the bid was $10,000. What were the other two bids, or is that confidential?
One was 29, oh, sorry.
ahead.
One was $29,750, and the other one was $48,975.
Wow.
Cents.
Wow. Okay, thank you. So it's 48.
25,
29,
so it's like
and
25% of the highest bid,
10. Yeah.
right? 20%. 20. Mathing on this.
No one cares.
Anybody else?
Great. Perfect.
Bring it back to council. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Smart drug and alcohol policy.
I'll take it.
Ms. Levitt.
So we were in the process of having an audit done for our smart credit transfers for the senior transportation that we have. And one of the things that we were not able to locate was a drug and alcohol policy for the drivers of the van coordinator. So working with Smart, they had a policy for us to be able to use, and that is what you have before you for approval, and this is just for the van drivers and coordinators.
Councilman Odell.
Make a motion to adopt the attached FTA drug and alcohol policy to be compliant with the standards and continue receiving financial assistance from the Federal Transit Administration.
Second.
Motion and second. Comments, questions from the audience? Back at council. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I do have a question about that.
Sure, go ahead.
Elaine, why do they have to have that? I mean, it just seems like it's common sense.
It's federal money, so we have federal restrictions and things that we have to do based on all of that.
Okay.
Those dang lawyers, you know.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're a lawyer.
It must be an issue with the union. It's got to be a union issue, I would assume. It's probably like automatic termination or something, anyway.
Item I, site preparation senior activity center.
So as you know, last year, we put forth a community development block grant application for an LED sign over at the Senior Activity Center. This is the first of two items on the agenda for tonight regarding that sign. For this item, we are looking to get approval for the electrical and site boring costs for the sign. The electrical is the boring is $6,400 and the electrical is $3,950. And just looking for approval for that.
Councilman Odell, you were first.
Quick question. So we sent in the proposal for $45,000, and it only ended up costing us $25,960, correct, for the sign? Is it not possible to have these electrical and water and sewer costs included into that amount? Because it would be under the amount that we were approved for?
It's not possible. So the application for the community development block grant was very specific, and that is what they look at, is what you specifically apply for, and this was for the sign, not for any of the associated costs. So getting into the project beforehand, you know, we knew we had electrical there, we just didn't know that we had enough electrical to really supply this new higher-end version.
I'll make a motion to approve the electrical, the electrical amount for trenching for $6,400 and electrical for the LED sign of $3,950 as submitted.
Second.
Motion and second, Councilwoman Sutherland.
A lot of questions today. I just noticed that in the requires budget amendment line, there's not yes or no checked.
I believe this was going to come out of building and grounds.
Okay, so no budget amendment needed. Okay, so my other question was, because we received a higher amount in the block grant award, is there anything else that we could do with this sign? Can we get a bigger sign? Can we get one of those wavy arm guys to go in with that money? I mean, right, let's try to, I mean, seriously, get everything we can out of the grant money.
It's gotta be.
We
But if it's a sign,
We
like,
would have to bid it out again,
oh, okay,
and I don't know that we have enough time for that.
all right, I tried, okay,
Next year.
worth a shot.
I don't want
Hey,
to
I'm
do the
just-
sign every year.
So thankful
Amendment.
because I'm tired of saying, welcome back seniors from COVID, and it's still sitting up there, so
Yeah.
it's,
It is.
hasn't been changed in years.
It's welcome seniors now. I think Martez changed that.
Yeah, well, yeah, we asked for it to be changed before, and they just took one thing. So it'd be nice. So we have a motion and we have a second. Any comments, questions on the motion? Back at council, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Senior activity electronic sign.
We did two of them together.
Yeah, so we did them both together.
No, they're two separate.
Right, the
There another
electrical
one.
mechanical. So you've got the next agenda item for the actual sign purchase
Right.
from the bids.
Right.
So obviously solicited bids for this as required for the community development block grant funding. The lowest bid is from Bill Carr Signs out of Flint in the amount of $25,960. This was actually budgeted last year out of the Senior Activity Center capital, so we will just be shifting that into the capital out of Senior Activity Center for this year. We had originally budgeted $46,000, so well under budget for that.
Councilman Odell.
Make a motion to approve the expenditure of $25,960 for Bill Carr Signs out of Flint, Michigan for the purchase of the LED sign for the Senior Activity Center.
Second.
Motion and second. Comments, questions from the audience? Ms. Kolka?
I just want to just express my discourse with how expensive that is. Like, just astronomically ridiculous. Like, I don't get it. Like, I don't even, it is like, it's highway robbery. That's just my opinion. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say.
Is it two-sided? Two-sided?
Still.
I mean, just,
And it's not even like one of the super high-quality, awesome ones that you see with like, you know, video screen type quality.
Fireworks going off. And
Hopefully, we will get a good long life out of it.
it's better than what we have.
yes.
Well, we could just put a sign there, forget it.
got a
Just
grant-
go out there with
got a-
the numbers and the
We got a
letters,
grant
like.
for it too, though, so.
Right. Still, though, that's like wasted money. Even if you have a grant, it's still wasted money that could be used with, you know, something way more important, like,
That's what it's written for, so that's what we're gonna do.
I know, but these companies, my goodness. Anyway,
So all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item K, city attorney rate adjustment.
So I know that last year we did go out for bids for attorneys, and we never really moved forward with that. Don and his company have been very gracious over the last 5 years and have not increased the amounts, and really gotten to a point where they're needing to request an adjustment to their fees. So you have the memo from O'Reilly Rancilio and the that they are looking to get approved as submitted.
Okay.
And this would be for a 5-year term. 4-year term, I'm sorry.
Councilwoman Sutherland.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2024 to 2028 rates as submitted.
Second.
And we do the stipulation that the Dairy Queen's gone with this.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm working very hard on that.
My time's limited, so, it's just,
We feel good about our nuisance abatement part of this, and a motion for a summary disposition on that piece of it is pending, and we'll let you know.
hey,
Yeah,
someday.
yeah, what else do we need?
Ms. Sutherland, or, yes,
It's me.
Ms. Kolka.
Thank you. So I just have some questions about background. Didn't we do an RFP like a long time ago about the attorneys, and we didn't do anything with
Yeah,
them?
that's what I mentioned. It was about a year ago, and we never moved forward with that.
So we never made a motion. Are these rates the same rates that were in the RFP that was provided to us?
No.
No, I don't believe so. I'd have to look back at that, but that was a year ago, so I think they're slightly different.
And I can't remember, so please bear with me. The RFP that we would have approved for an attorney, is that monthly? Is that yearly? Was it yearly, or was it just, does anybody know?
I think it's hourly.
No, but you're approving the rates, but like for the term, like what's that term look like? Is it for a year? Is it 3 years? In other words, the RFPs that we asked for, what were they for? Were they for, when the contract comes up, right? And we go out for the RFPs, does anybody
I believe it
remember?
was for a year,
Just 1 year?
yeah,
Okay, I see.
Remember.
yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you.
So we have a motion and second. Any comments or questions from the audience? I see none, I'll bring it back to council. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 8, fiscal year 2022-23 audit status.
So last month I had mentioned that with the preliminary work, we were at about 25%. Now we are at 75% with the preliminary work. We are working on getting all of the documentation for that preliminary review by the auditors done by Monday is our deadline for that. So we should have that completed. We're actually, I think, a little bit more than 75%. We just have not uploaded all the information for the auditor yet. As far as the remainder of the documentation, the deadline for that is November 6th, and we are about 20% complete with all of the information overall that we are required to provide to the auditor, and still anticipate having that completion date when they have their deadline so that they'll be able to come in and actually conduct our audit in office. Other than that, nothing else to really report. We're still working on some of the other changes that were noted from our last audit. Our new finance director was at training this week, and she came back with a lot of good knowledge for moving forward for municipal government, and certainly look forward to working with her on making some of those other modifications that are required.
Great, thank you. So we're fast on track, right?
We are on track.
Very good.
Right people in the right place.
Right people in the right seat.
Yeah.
Right, Suzanne?
That's right.
Report of city administration.
Just want to give everyone a little bit of an update on where we are with the library to date. So there was an issue with one of the walls in the library that at some point in time over the years, there was a modification. We had no building plans or any site plans or anything from the modification. So one of the things that we had to do was actually have some architectural plans put together to make sure that the wall is compliant with current code. AEW should be finishing up with that either tomorrow or next week. Once those are done, they go to the building official for approval, and then we'll be able to get the company back in to finish up that interior wall and then start finalizing and finishing up all of the work at the library. So hopefully we will get that done, I would say within about 30 days or so is my expectation. We have a new AV ballot drop box that was paid for by the state that has been installed out in front of City Hall, so it's right next to just our regular drop box. That will only be unlocked and available during election times. We're actually going to kind of look and see if that's something that we can remove during non-election times. Obviously, it's something that is just for ballots, so hopefully people will recognize the difference between the two, but rest assured that even if you put it in the other box, we'll still get your ballots. The communications associate started this week. Her name is Starsha McCrary. She's the one that's going to be working on our website and Facebook, our cable station, pushing out all of the information, getting her up to speed and learning kind of how to use all of the software and modules and everything that we have for the website. I'll have her meet with department heads and kind of talk about what some of their needs are for their website as well. Long-term strategy, I'd love to see her really work on getting more functionality on our website and hopefully working with Civic Plus to do a little bit of a refresh of the look and feel of our website to update it. Senator Kleinfeld is going to be here at City Hall tomorrow from 10 to 11, just to meet with any constituents and to discuss any issues that either you or anyone else may have. They can feel free to stop by here. I received a lot of help with representatives from Gary Peters' office regarding our SAM number. This is an annual registration that we have to be able to work with the federal government for any of our grants, in particular the ARPA grants and things that we have that we're already working on. So we have to have this number. It was unfortunately not attached to any current employees, so it took a team of people to be able to get it back from the federal government so that I could have access to that number. So it is finally renewed and we're good for another year. So I certainly appreciate all the help that I received from Gary Peters' office. I would just like to remind everyone and certainly thank Jason Poole, Sergeant Jason Poole. He is going to be retiring from the City of Fraser. Tomorrow is his last day, so feel free to stop by. They're going to have a celebration of his retirement tomorrow at 2:45. So certainly thank him for his 25-plus years of service. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Sure.
I've got,
Okay. 5-minute break?
sorry.
10-minute break? Go ahead.
Thanks.
10-minute break.
2 buildings. So the fact there's only 1 building, they actually have more parking.
Grab Kathy one.
He's about to gavel Kathy.
Call the meeting back to order
Look at you.
at 8:06 PM. Report of mayor and council. Where might you go?
Take a person.
Go.
All right. Just wish everybody a good Halloween coming up. Just make sure you're safe out there with your kiddos. Make sure they're got their bracelets on and stuff so people can see them and enjoy Halloween coming up. Other than that, only thing I'm a little worried about, it seems like our packets that are going out are not updated on our website a week in advance like they're supposed to be. So I don't know what the new communications person need to do a better job. I had several people reach out to me that they didn't have access to it till later this week. So I want to make sure we're getting that out so people can review everything before the meetings, and if they want to attend or not. I think that's something that we need to be better on, and it's required. But other than that, just hope everybody has a great week and happy Halloween, and
Thank you.
that's it.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple things. On the 21st of October, the Fraser High School Fair is going on. It is from 9 to 3. It is, I think, it is, let me say that again. On October 21st, which is Saturday, the Fraser High School Fair is going to be going on. I think it's sponsored by the athletic department.
The craft show?
The craft show, yes. And it is, I will say, my daughter and I like going to these things, but this is by far the best craft show I've ever been to in my entire life. It fills up, there's just so much, and it takes all day to go through it. But it is just the amount of vendors. Please, if you get a chance to go, you will not be disappointed. There's something for everybody there. In addition, there is, on November 9th, there is the East Point Roseville Chamber of Commerce, this is the 31st annual Deck the Halls Christmas auction. I have gone to this event in the past as well, and it is also another great event, bringing the community together. The tickets are $50, and there's a silent auction. The doors open at 5:30. Last couple things I wanted to talk about is I want to wish my daughter a happy 17th birthday on Halloween. Can't believe she's 17. It's craziness. And also, we have an election coming up, and I want to stress for everyone that's paying attention out there, I have learned a great lesson a few years ago with Facebook. And there's a lot of gaslighting that goes on where you have certain people with agendas who are trying to get you to take their side, and people try to migrate where the power is. But when you have people who are gaslighting, it makes it look like the other people don't know what they're talking about. Well, I'm going to just tell you right now, as from somebody with firsthand experience, that's not true. Last year, the last time I was up for election, I was gaslighted terribly, but I didn't lie about anything. And this time I'm hearing through the grapevine that's happening again to people who have done some great things with this community, people who have been involved in this community, who have stood up and did difficult things. And I think it's wrong. It's totally wrong. And really what people need to do is stop listening to people who want to be in positions of power and go and get educated yourself about what really has gone on up here. Because you'll be amazed at the information that you're getting versus what's really happening. You'll be amazed. And you'll find that there's certain positions that really were not favorable to our city and our city management at the time, yet they were supported by certain individuals. And that's not right. And unfortunately, people aren't doing their own research, so they're just listening. They're just listening to what other people are telling them. But I would tell you that you're being given a bunch of crap. The people that have put the time and effort in are the people that are up here. The people that look through all the nonsense and the, excuse my language, BS are the people that are up here. We had some very difficult and hard decisions to make. And yeah, it wasn't popular. But you know what? Looking back, they were the right decisions. Because now we had the state police get involved. We were not asleep at the switch. We made those decisions. They needed to be done. And the people that have been up here are the people who aren't here for power. They're not here for an agenda. They're not here because of, they need to push their park. They're here because they care about this city. They care about this city. They've been in this city for decades, and they have put their life on the line for this city and for this city's residents. Think about that. That's some powerful stuff. It's not just somebody trying to get some power and get involved. That's somebody who actually cares. They put their life on the line for the residents of this city. And they've done it for decades. So get off of Facebook and get involved and get yourself educated so you know what's really going on in this community. And with that, have a great Halloween, and we'll see you next month.
Thank you much. Councilwoman Blanky.
Okay, I have a question for you, Elaine. The question is, I'm the messenger, okay? Patrice called, and she had heard that the occupancy about Big Boys in this, off of Utica there, that I guess the information she received, okay, was that the ZBA denied that occupancy, but that the Planning Commission approved it. Do you know anything about that?
I don't know the specifics. Sure, maybe Don can answer your question.
Well, if we have to, yeah.
Yeah.
As long as
I know
I'm
it has to do
here.
with parking and everything. Yeah, he would probably do a better job at explaining.
So the way you phrase that, Ms. Blanky, is none of that is true.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's how it was phrased to you or not. So let me try
Right.
to just walk back a little bit and explain what is actually happening with those buzzwords of occupancy and the
Good.
boards. Where it is at in the process right now, Big Boy does not have a certificate of occupancy. They are not permitted to open or start operating. They have a number of things on a checklist to finish, some building inspection things, some HVAC things. So Bob Logan here at the city has been on top of that, making sure those things are being done correctly and properly. I think there was a dumpster enclosure thing or something else on that list too. So no occupancy permit has been given to them to open or operate inside the building. When it comes to the two boards you mentioned, the Zoning Board of Appeals granted a parking variance to reduce the number of mandatory spaces on the entire parcel back in 2019. That variance still exists. It's still valid. It was based on the fact that they were proposing two buildings back then, and now they've only done one. So there's actually more parking on the site at this moment than there was approved back in 2019. Doesn't necessarily solve the issues. I'm just trying to give you the lay of the land. The Planning Commission, on the other hand, heard a pitch from the lawyer and the ownership of the parcel a week ago, 2 weeks ago. And it was an informal sort of, I want to talk to the Planning Commission about revising the conditions of the site plan. When they approved the site plan in the past, they approved it subject to 4 or 5 very specific off-site parking agreements. Very specific, down to the, it has to be with Total Soccer, it has to be with Meyer. I'm naming, I think those two were 2 of the 4 or 5. They came back and asked the Planning Commission to amend that and asked that as long as we have sufficient parking agreements in place to the satisfaction of the city for what we call special events or extreme events is the word they used back then and still use today, which rise to the level of, I think it's 1,500 plus people. There's a certain number, 1,500 and change. If we anticipate that kind of attendance, then would it be okay if our site plan is approved subject to us following all the other conditions, 60 days notice to the city of that event, getting police and fire and everybody to review it, to make sure everything's in order, to make sure they have sufficient parking agreements in place. And the planning commission said, yes, we will amend that for you so that you don't have to, it doesn't have to be with specific entities, just so long as the city is satisfied when you have these events that you have enough off-site parking or special parking arrangements. With that being said, none of that has to do anything with occupancy. It just has to do with what's been allowed by those two boards or granted by those two boards. And going forward, just this week, we have reviewed and concluded and advised the attorney that they have one more step in the process. They need to return to the planning commission because they also have what's called a special land use approval. What that means is, under our zoning ordinance, in that zoning district, if you wish to operate what we define as a fast food restaurant, and no one thinks of Big Boy as a fast food restaurant, right? But the way it's defined in our ordinances, if you have a drive-through or carry-out window, you are considered a fast food restaurant in the city of Fraser. By virtue of wanting that back when they started developing, they had to get special land use approval from the planning commission. That involves a public hearing. It involves, a specific request. Well, because they've amended the site plan conditions, the same conditions applied when they got that approval. So they will have to return, if they wish to keep the drive-through window, they will have to return to a hearing with the planning commission in the near future to ask for the same amendments, to remove the specific language about total soccer and other sites, and just allow for the special event process to be subject to the city's review and city's approval. If the planning commission agrees to that, then the special land use is approved, and then the site itself has all the zoning approvals it needs. Then it just comes down to the logistics of, like I said earlier, the building, the HVAC, the dumpster enclosure, doing what the site plan requires them to do. There's some signage requirements to direct people to where they need to be, those kinds of things. If the planning commission doesn't approve that, or if the property owners decide to get rid of that window, either way, if they don't approve it, they can't keep the window, so they would have to get rid of it. Or if they just voluntarily say, we're not going to have the drive-through window anymore, they're no longer considered fast food. They wouldn't need any amendments to their special land use approval because they wouldn't need it in the first place. So then they could just go ahead and go through the normal building and zoning channels to get approvals and get open. So that's where it sits, and it's very fresh because we've been working hard on it for the last week or so, making sure all the I's are dotted and all the T's are crossed.
Well, I thank you for the clarification, and no, that was, seriously, I even wrote it down. I never write anything down,
You
but
wrote all that down.
I did.
Can you read it back to me?
No, I don't have the intelligence to say what you just said.
It's like a dissertation.
But also, I would like to kind of piggyback on what Councilwoman Caucus said. It's not a secret. Our term is up next month. And I hope to be here in November. She's young, so she's counting on it. God, I don't know, where I'll be. But I just want to leave with a thought, because I want to leave with my head up. I want to leave with a good memory, a good thought. Number one, I apologize if I ever hurt anybody. Number two, I thank everyone who touched my life. I have been in this public service between working in this, total of 38 years. Now, when I was a young kid at 20 and came to a place called Fraser, that I said, Fraser? What's a Fraser? I had no clue, because we never went past 9 Mile, So I thought, what the heck, But I can't begin to tell you the memories I have, the people that have touched me, the people that have blessed me, the people that have taught me, and the people have willingly made me a better person. I'm very grateful. I am beyond grateful. You can't imagine. I look at the photo of my husband up there. That's amazing to me. I look at the park, which you keep up so well. That's amazing to me. I looked at my brand new little great-granddaughter, Alaska Louise, today, and that's amazing. She's 6 pounds. life is amazing. And we all know, I don't have to sermonize, it's up and down, this and everything. But this experience of my life being involved has just been awesome, and I didn't plan on any of it. I started in recreation at $1.75 an hour, so I didn't think that was a career move. I wasn't sure, you know, but I did put in 27 years there. Beautiful team, beautiful people. BJ, Kathy Kay, Marie Salufo, Christina. We had a beautiful team, beautiful people. Things just don't happen because of one person. It happens because of hope and joy and being appreciative. And so I hope that as I pack my bag, so to speak, that the people of Fraser realize one thing. It's kind of redundant when I keep hearing our city, my city, I love the city, and other people talking about that they think they're powerful or they have some kind of a gold crown on their head. They don't. They don't. None of us do. We're all in this together. The city's abstract. It isn't a human breathing gift from God. It is a location. Mud, brick, water, mulchers, toys for Mark. You know what I'm saying? It is just a noun. It's just a noun. It's nothing you love. The city is the people. The city is the people. The older people that I am now, that I used to cater to and think, you mean you can't pick up that box yourself? What is wrong with you? Now I know. Now I get it, because I'm that person now. And I remember the joy of hanging diapers on Janet, and I enjoy the thrill of thousands of kids that went through our program. I enjoyed teaching catechism for 30 years, that joy of the faith and the hope. And you may say, she's so bored, but it's true. So I guess my message tonight is, whether I come back for a encore or not sure yet what happens, but I want to thank everybody, everyone in this community that touched me in my life, because I also appreciated that acquaintance we make, and some very dear friendships with Marie, with her family. And then politics and this city stuff tends to corrode that sometimes, and you get so overwhelmed in the silliness of it all. But my hope and what I want you to remember is that we love and are grateful for what we have here. And it isn't the city. It is the people. It is every one of the residents that work together in their life. And I thank you for listening to me. And when I say God bless you, I mean it. And may He be gracious and protect all of you, always. Thank you.
All that one.
Okay, great. No, I mean, that was wonderful. It seems like a close to me. So all I really wanted to say is, I kind of echo Suzanne's comments about two things. One would be the craft show. It's actually awesome to hear that you and your daughter go, because my mom and I used to go when I was little, and now I bring my daughter. And I can remember I actually wrote a paper in college about how much I didn't like going to the craft show, and how when I walked in that like the smell of cinnamon like would hit you in the face because of all of the crafts. But now, being older and growing up and taking my daughter, like it's actually like a wonderful memory. So I concur with you, and go check it out. It's a great cause to support the athletic boosters at the high school. I want to say congratulations to the Fraser High School marching band, who last night got a first division rating at the, I'm going to mess it up, MBSOA. MB what? MSBOA marching band competition, which was held in Troy. They did an absolutely fantastic job, and I've heard them do their Journey medley many, many times now. But honestly, last night it was they nailed it. I mean, they just did an absolutely fantastic job. So we should be proud of these kids in our city for the hard work that they put in, because they're out there in the summer marching around in the heat and the cold and the rain, and they nailed it last night. They did a fantastic job. So congratulations to Mr. Rogers on his hard work, his entire team, and the entire marching band. Fantastic job. Also, we do have an election coming up, and your voice is important. So regardless of, who you're going to vote for, use your voice, right? That's what our country is all about, and making sure that you get out and you just do exactly that. Use your voice, and please vote. We have a couple of people who were in our consent agenda that are going to be serving on boards and commissions in the city. So I just want to say congratulations to Sandy, Julie, and Wendy on your appointments. Definitely appreciate people getting involved, and it is so important that residents do step up, get involved, educate yourselves, because, that's probably how we all ended up here, right? We started to get involved, and then we said, you know what, I want to keep getting involved. I want to do good. I want to have a voice, and so thank you so much for stepping up, and I'm grateful to have you serving the city. Other than that, have a fantastic rest of your month of October, and a happy Halloween, and we'll see you in November, which is crazy. It's about to be November.
Thanksgiving's coming.
Yeah. That's all I got. Sutherland out.
I don't have much. I did want to bring up our open house. They had the 34th open house. And to just give you a little history, we did hit a milestone this year, but 34 years ago, the city didn't have an open house. And paid on call guys said, hey, we got to start doing this. I think 10 years later, we won the best open house in Macomb County. 10 or 15 years later, the event's grown and grown and grown and grown as membership's even gone down and down and down and down. But there's a couple guys I really want to thank, because these guys never get any credit from anybody. Is Jim Ligerotis, Tom Collins, Doug Rocco. These guys, some have been with me from 25 and 30 years. We've been doing this. And we hit a milestone of over 60,000 hot dogs this year. So, since we've been doing it. So I just want to give those guys some credit, because, thick and thin, they've all been through it all. And these guys have, like she said, Sue, they've given their heart, their bodies, their souls to this department. And, I just wanted to thank them on behalf of the city and mayor. Not that I work with them, but the city is great to have these guys. So I don't know if they're going to be around much longer, but I wanted to recognize them for their hard work and longevity. Most volunteer firefighters only make it 3-4 years. Some of these guys are 30, 35 years. So
Including yourself.
I don't include myself. I just make it happen. That's all.
Did you say Tom Collins too?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. With that, I'll open it up to citizen participation. Anybody?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. First, I just want to echo your sentiments. The open house was amazing. I want to thank public safety, on-call firefighters. All we got is compliments of how it felt like Fraser again. And that's like what we all want, right? It's all about the people, Kathy, like you said. So I just wanted to thank you guys again for a great Sunday. And just a couple things coming up. We have a Fraser First Booster Club meeting on the 18th at 6 o'clock at the Fraser Ramshorn. We also have our, I think this is my 8th year, trunk or treat at Ramshorn on the 21st from 1 to 3. Please bring out your kids. A lot of the community will be there. We'll have a DJ, balloon artist, all that great stuff. And always give back to Lee. He gives back to this community in a lot. He always gets to the schools and stuff. So we try to give back to him. And I think that's it. And you guys have a wonderful Halloween, and I'll see you guys next month. And also, yes, get out and vote. A lot of people fought for us to vote, so vote.
Thank you.
As I limp up here, just wanted to, again, thank you, Mayor Carnegie, again, for starting even with the open house, and it's expanded to something the kids look forward to, and they're making a lot of heroes as youngsters. So again, I'm hoping, they promote the PSOs, the firefighters, and look for a career to serve their cities. Thank you, Kathy, for everything you've done and said. You've been a dear heart to me. And Ms. Kelka, like I say, I just echo your sentiments. Please, with the residents, please vote with learning information, not what you hear on Facebook. You got to sift through it. Just don't take things as granted. But the old part, I've a lifelong resident of Fraser. And I'm going to send a shout out. Speaking of October 21st, we're celebrating our 50th class reunion from Fraser High School. I live to talk about it, and so did a lot of others. I've been on the reunion committee. There's still a lot of our alumni classmates that are still in Fraser. So if you haven't gotten your tickets, next Saturday is our big event, and I'm just really proud to represent that. Started out at the beginning, we were the first class to go all 3 years through the high school.
Wow.
When it was 2 houses, and now it's 4, so we're going to have a great time celebrating next weekend. So anyway, thank you all for what you do.
Where's it at? This is the party, the celebration at?
Yeah, we're doing that on Saturday night.
At the park?
No, we're going it up in Auburn Hills to be our reunion. So we have other activities the whole weekend.
Okay.
But I'm excited to see everybody. A lot of people I haven't seen in 50 years, so live to talk about it. So yay, Fraser. All right, thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Laura Lessage, 15201 Fairview. I want to point out that the first 2 did not say who they were or their address, but you probably all know that. First of all, I want to thank you guys for approving the new recreation commissioners. They will finally have a full board, which they are so excited. We're also excited that they could have 7 people on that commission to start making a difference in activities and getting things rolling. They've been challenged, and they've been working through it, and I'm very proud of them for what they're doing. I want to mention a couple of their activities happening before November. We have the VFW has their spaghetti dinner on the 4th Wednesday, which is going to be on October 25th. This could be their last one because they are challenged with volunteers, cooks, etc. So please come out and support the VFW on that Wednesday, the 25th of October. Also, the Goodfellows is having their annual event on November 3rd. It's a Friday at the Vintage House at 5 o'clock. $10 for a ticket. They have a spaghetti dinner there to help support the no children without a Christmas is what the theme is, right? And last but not least, I would like to thank the council members that will be leaving the board, the council. Thank you for your service, and I wish you all the best in the future with the city, outside the city, with your families. Enjoy life. That's what we're here for. I just went to a funeral for a classmate of mine yesterday, and it's really sad to see someone in your 60s that was so full of life, so full of family, and be taken from us through the cancer sea. And so I can only tell you guys just to live for today and hope for tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, I'll make a city.
I don't normally chime in, but I feel sort of obligated. A couple people have mentioned the Recreation Commission. I just want to let everybody know that I did sit with them this past month to help them with a major overhaul of their bylaws. They seem pretty happy with the overhaul, so that's modernizing their bylaws. And at that meeting, they also talked about a number of trunk or treats. I didn't write down all the dates, but community, we have a lot of trunk or treats happening this month between the various organizations in the city. So they were very interested in making sure we're represented at all of those. But to get those dates, you'd have to get it from Martez or someone else, because I don't have them. I apologize.
Great, thank you. At this time, I make a motion that we go into closed session for a strategy session regarding negotiation of bargaining agreement with COAM.
Second.
Motion second, could you please do a roll call vote?
Councilwoman Blanky,
Yes?
Mayor Carnegie,
Yes.
Councilmember Kolka.
Yes.
Councilmember Odell, Councilmember Sutherland.
Yes.
Do a motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good night, everybody.
Good
Can't
night.
go, all the plants are gonna die.